Hey there, everybody. Welcome to Fresh Out, the podcast, the greatest podcast in the universe. I am the board game guru, game master extraordinaire, and your close personal friend, Johannanon.
And I am the professional media and movie mastermind, the Funhouse Drew Munhausen, and welcome to episode 153 of Fresh Out the Podcast. And we're following up as we promised that we would, because for the first time in the history of Fresh Out the Podcast, there's been a new console release while we've been doing that. Well, that's not true. There have been console update releases, a PS5 Pro,
Those
a
don't
Nintendo
count.
Switch OLED, things like that.
No,
But a
you were
true
right. Yeah.
new console has released since we've been on the pod. And not only that, myself and Jahan were both able to get our hands on it, and I have mine right here in front of me, in my hands.
Oh,
How
mine's
about
downstairs. No.
that? That's okay. You do not need to get it. It's not like we're going to be playing it on camera for this audio medium, so I think that we are fine. Yeah, the Nintendo Switch 2 came out. I got mine almost like a week ago today. I got it a week ago today.
Same.
And I'm curious to talk through it a little bit with you about some initial impressions and kind of jump right into it, because since we teased it, I feel like we just gotta dig right in.
Absolutely.
Johanna, I'm curious first as to just kind of not. So let's just talk about the Switch 2
Okay.
in general, not Mario Kart World per se, but let's talk about just the Switch 2 from a console. How much have you been able to play it? Have you played it mostly handheld? Have you played it mostly docked? That kind of stuff. That's the kind of stuff I want to know.
Absolutely. So, yeah. I've played it. I haven't played it a lot, but I've played it enough to beat every single cup in Mario World once. So, I played it that long. I messed around on a couple other games. I checked out Tears of the Kingdom. I checked some stuff out. Have not really gotten to dive into it. But Jenny, my wife, has been playing it too. She's been playing the Welcome Tour, so she's been giving it a go. It's so far so good. The first thing of note was when I had the Switch 2. My mom saw it, was like, that's way bigger than the Switch. Even my mother noticed that the Switch 2 is huge. It's much larger than the regular Switch.
Even I have to admit, you see the pictures and the comparisons, but once I actually held my old Switch up next to it in person and got to hold them, it is pretty striking.
It's a massive difference. A lot of people, there's lots of complaints flying around. We'll address them later, but as a piece of hardware, it's a solid piece of hardware. The kickstand is pretty cool. I like that it's a whole bar instead of that little dinky thing from before, because now it doesn't fall if you touch it on one side. I don't know. That's cool. The Joy-Cons are great. They have metal bumper buttons now. They have solid steel ones, which interact with the magnets that are in the base, in the console itself, so that it can magnetize in. It has a very satisfying thunk. Yeah, the clicking and removing of the controllers is just as satisfying, probably more so than the original Switch. I also have a Pro Controller, so I've been playing in a mix of docked and handheld. I've been playing docked when I'm playing with people. I actually had some people over to give Mario Kart a whirl. We were just in the area, and I was like, hey, let's go back to my house. And, it was like a classic night of Mario Kart, man. It was real fun. They all liked the Switch as well. And yeah, so I played docked mostly with people, but then by myself I played handheld. And the things I noticed about the handheld, it's much larger screen. The sound output is really actually very impressive. I noticed that immediately. And yeah, I think that everything worked great out of the box. I haven't had any issues. I got a Pro Controller, which I love. It works really well. Also today I went and picked up the Hori PD Piranha camera for the Switch
Nice.
2. I saw it at Target. There was one left, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna get it. So I'll let you know. I'll report back on that next week. But yeah, so far so good. I'm all in. It's cool having early access to what has become the fastest selling Nintendo console in history. So that's
Is it
exciting.
really? I surprisingly haven't really seen articles or stats.
I've heard
I don't have
people.
it in front of me.
I've seen articles that have been saying that. I don't know. I haven't seen the numbers, but apparently the Switch 2 launch has been a massive success. Which
Yeah,
I'm
this according to CNN, a story that was published yesterday says Nintendo Switch 2 sales set a record in 4 days.
that
So
might
yeah,
that might have been the exact one I saw actually. But yeah, so it's been doing really well, and I'm surprised because man, has this thing been getting bad press, and like so I'm just surprised um, that it's doing that well, and I'm happy. So
yeah, I think that just talking about like the general conversation around it. I think something that interested me is we share a lot of mutual friends, and a lot of them play the Switch actively. I've been in settings where like they bring their Switch in a case, and like we'll be in a social setting, and somebody will be in the corner playing their Switch, or
yeah,
can dock it and play a game, and like that is common. And we were just recently a couple weeks ago at a friend gathering, and I asked people there, I'm like, did anybody else? Because I knew obviously that you and I had pre-ordered ours. I was like, did anybody else order one? And it was like nobody raised their hand. Like no, and most people had kind of the same sentiment. It's too expensive. Maybe when it has more games, I just can't justify it right now. That kind of stuff. Totally makes sense. It's a truly justified argument with the Switch 2 in its current state. But I guess I was surprised that some very loyal Switch enthusiasts were waiting on it.
yeah,
But that's just kind of an interesting note. I'll say that with my time with the console, comparing to what you said, I've probably played 90% of my time with it has been while it is docked, but I did play a little bit of it handheld. It felt great in my hands. I have pretty big mitts here, so like playing the Switch has always been like fairly comfortable, but if I'm like laying in bed playing it, my hands will like cramp up or fall. I just can't get a good grip on it. It's only comfortable for so long. I think the slightly larger size of the Switch 2 makes it a little bit more comfortable to hold in my hands. The
yeah,
trigger placement and everything, it just feels better. So I think that from that standpoint, it's very well manufactured. The way that the Joy Cons do magnetically come off and snap in is not just effective, but also like satisfying.
yeah,
um, and so I like that about it. The stand, like you said, is great, especially compared to the old one, which, I had taken my old Switch on flights and stuff before where my wife and I tried to play like multiplayer games on it, and the Switch would fall because it couldn't stand on the kickstand well. You'd have to lean it up against things. This new stand on it is fantastic. I will say, from a UI perspective and just like out of the box putting in a new console, kind of reminded me of getting the Series X in a way where the UI is so similar to what you had before that it almost feels like,
nothing changed.
I
Yeah,
don't know. Yeah, like there is something special about getting a new console and turning it on the first time and seeing something new and different, and I mean it looks like the Switch. So like if you didn't know just from looking at like the homepage, you wouldn't know.
yeah,
There are subtle differences,
there
but
are.
I think that was worth noting for me. But yeah, the first thing I did was I got Mario Kart downloading. I transferred all my cloud saves, got all that taken care of, and of course went and downloaded the GameCube emulator, to get that going. I ended up not doing the welcome tour. I had seen some like pretty negative reviews for it, and that you couldn't even do everything in it unless you bought all the peripherals. I too, though, like you, bought a Switch 2 Pro controller. An interesting note for it, it's got these two new buttons on the back that are
Yeah.
unique to it that the original Switch Pro controller didn't have. And I press those buttons on accident all the time. So like I haven't really like within Mario Kart, whatever, haven't really had a need to assign those buttons to any action yet.
Yeah.
But I'm almost nervous to do so because I feel like I'll press them by accident all the time.
Yeah.
So
One of the complaints that a lot of people had about the Pro controller was that it doesn't even have trigger buttons, so it's not really a like an elite controller. And it's like, it does now, so shut up.
yeah. Yeah. It is a nice controller, and that's what I've played. Again, 90% of my time with the Switch when I've been playing it docked, I'm playing with that Pro controller, and it's been great. Um, I did. So I played the GameCube emulator a little bit just to jump into Wind Waker and see the intro and everything. It's works pretty seamlessly. I couldn't tell with Wind Waker if it was just the game itself or the emulator, but it almost felt like a little bit of lag from the controller to play. But I think that's just the game design. Like I don't think it's a console thing or the emulator thing, but I'm not sure. It definitely made me feel like, oh man, this is the GameCube version of the game. You know, they made a remaster. Wind Waker HD came out on the Wii U, which I had a Wii U and I had that game and it was great. And I think I played most of the way through Wind Waker on the Wii U, and now going backwards to the GameCube version, but on the Switch 2 makes me be like, man, how have y'all not ported Wind Waker HD?
Yeah.
How did y'all not port it to the Switch? How have you not ported it to the Switch 2? But that's a whole nother story. At least at the end of the day, this GameCube emulator worked pretty well. I did jump into the Nintendo 64 emulator and actually played like probably a couple hours of Ocarina of Time, mainly because I wanted to see how the rewind feature worked on Nintendo 64, because that is unique to the Switch 2.
Yeah.
On the original Switch, you could not rewind games quickly, go back a few frames in the game or whatever. On the Switch, you can do that on the Switch 2. It is really satisfying in a game like Ocarina of Time, which is an old game. And so there's some things with the controls that if you jump at the wrong point or you don't have something lined up right, you fall or you go the wrong way. It is so nice to hit that select button back up to before you took the jump and be able to redo it and not have to like climb all the way back up and things like that. It's just, that's a really cool feature for the 64. That being said, I'm happy with my purchase. I'm excited I have a Switch 2. I'm really looking forward to Donkey Kong Bonanza coming out next month.
Yeah.
But I think that launching this system with only Mario Kart World as the main piece of first party software on it is like pretty rough. Don't get me wrong. Mario Kart World is really good, and we can talk about that kind of a little bit more in depth next, just because it goes directly from the Switch 2 conversation rather than waiting till fresh games.
Yeah.
But I just feel like I really like Mario Kart. Mario Kart is a great party game, and it's great to play with friends. And I have played the new one with my daughter, and I've played a few races with my wife. And so like I've done some multiplayer stuff, but I've played a lot of it by myself. And this is not the type of thing where like when I got a new PS5, like when I first got the PS5, I played that Miles Morales Spider-Man game. Like the day I got that console, I played that game all day and like beat it within like 2 days because I just wanted to play this new console and this new game that I could really invest myself in. With Mario Kart, it's like I play it for an hour and I'm like, I'm good. I need to do something else. And it makes me sad because I'm like, well, I want to play my Switch 2 and this new console I got, but like all I have is Mario Kart.
Yeah, there's nothing out yet. Yeah. I feel that too. Yeah, it feels pretty empty. There's not a lot going on. All the games that are for the Switch 2, I mean, there are more than just Mario Kart out, but none of them are new games. Like, it's like Cyberpunk, Split Fiction. None of it's new.
They're new to a Nintendo console, but not new to us. It's like Yeah, the review IGN just posted their review update to Cyberpunk and this full edition that's now available on Switch 2 and basically says like, yeah, this is a solid way to play the game, which is great. I'm glad that people who maybe have only owned Nintendo consoles
Yeah.
get a way to play this game effectively. I played Cyberpunk 5 years ago when it came out.
Yeah.
So like I'm
Same.
good. I don't have the desire to buy it again for $70 and replay the game again when I still have the game on my Xbox and can go play it there. So it's like, yeah, I do kind of want to get the Bravely Default remaster that's out, and like, it's kind of nice because that was just a DS game that now
Yeah.
they've released here on the Switch 2, and it is like an up-resed remaster, and it's only $40, so it's not like a full-priced game, which is nice.
Which is nice. Yeah.
I did jump into Pokemon Scarlet because I had seen, some of these games that have free Switch 2 patches.
Yeah, it's playable
And
now.
I will say, Scarlet running in full, like in 4K docked 60 frames per second is a game changer for that game. But I was like, was dropped in the middle of the world in a game that I haven't played in a long time and kind of like didn't know what I was doing. But it made me almost want to restart that game and play it this way.
Yeah.
Which I'm assuming is kind of what Tears of the Kingdom does. Because I'm thinking
Tears
that
of
if
the
I
Kingdom,
get the upgrade there, I'll probably just restart that game.
Well,
from the beginning.
the upgrades that cost $10, like for Tears of the Kingdom, Breath of the Wild, all that stuff, they are free if you have the Nintendo Switch expansion pass.
Oh, I do have that.
Yeah, so all you do, you go to the store and like it'll say buy in the top right corner, but then if you like go left a little bit, you'll see like expansion pass, download here, and like so that's all you have to do. I downloaded, so I did that. I got the Tears of the Kingdom Switch 2 upgrade for free. Jumped in. That game, yeah, it looks different. It's a lot better. It is very smooth. It looks almost like a full next gen game. Like, Nintendo's always a little behind, so it's not like graphically the most amazing thing, but it looks good. It looks much better. The animations are smoother. Characters load in faster. You're getting further distance. You can see all that stuff. And like people are complaining you have to pay $10. You don't if you have the expansion pass. I know that's a monthly fee. A lot of people don't want to pay. Well, actually, I pay yearly, whatever. But
Same.
I mean, if you have a family plan and like your friends are on it and like you're doing this, like I have like Jenny's on mine, and my brother and brother-in-law are on it, and my cousin, and it's not that much money for like 5 people, and so you also get access to all those virtual consoles. I don't know. I don't want to pump up the Nintendo too much. Like there are some issues with their business models and like not owning the console and them threatening to brick your console and all this stuff. I don't know, like a lot of people are upset about that. I get it. But at the end of the day, I am happy I have a Switch 2. It's really cool. I did get the welcome tour, unlike you. Because I was just I really want to know what this thing can do to kind of see where games could be going. Man, the capabilities of this console are impressive. Like the rumble feature. So there's a game where you're just shaking maracas, right? And you can feel all the little beans shaking in there. And then if you press a button, it changes it from little beans to like a solid rubber ball, and you can feel the rubber ball inside bouncing around. Like
That's cool.
It's crazy, man. And like they have ones where the rumble feature is used to like feel shapes that you can't see, stuff like that. It's just, I don't know. It has a lot of features that are hidden that people might not know about. You also get to play with the mouse.
We don't have
feature.
the games yet to showcase these features.
Exactly.
So,
yeah. And so, like, I got to use the mouse feature a lot of the mini games. There's a lot of mini games.
yeah, like I haven't done that at all yet. That's a good point. I haven't even used the mouse feature for anything.
So the mouse works really well. It's a very sensitive mouse. It doesn't use a laser. It actually uses a low-res camera. So it's a low-resolution camera with really big pixels, so like it can sense any change in surface, and it makes it a very sensitive mouse. And so you're playing little mini games, you're like controlling spaceships and stuff, and like you really get a feel for it. And you can use it on like your stomach, you can use it on your lap. Like it doesn't have to be on a smooth surface. Like Jenny was using it on the arm of a leather armchair. It worked fine.
Cool.
And so yeah, the mouse feature does work. It works really well, and that's one of those features I've been hyping up a lot because of strategy games. And I actually recently heard a main outlet like IGN or something mention this is big for strategy games on the Switch. So I'm like, see, like they're saying what I'm saying. And
Well, they just said in that Cyberpunk review update that I mentioned, they said that Cyberpunk has mouse controls for the game
that'd be fun.
on Switch 2, and that it works pretty well.
Yeah,
So it's like, that's good to hear, because like playing a game like Cyberpunk that's a first-person shooter like in a mouse and keyboard type way, like that's pretty cool.
Yeah, dude. So like, yeah, strategy games and FPSs are completely changed forever on this console because of this, and so it's really cool. But yeah, I agree with you. One game is not enough at launch. You need at least two, man. Come on. Donkey Kong comes out next month, so that's not that long to wait.
Yeah, I guess I don't. That's the thing I don't understand, right? Like, there's basically a 6 weeks difference between when the Switch 2 launches and when that game comes out. Are they really working on the game up to the last second where that game needed the extra 6 weeks, excuse me, for polish? Or like, are you just trying to space out these first party releases because, you know, you want things to consistently drip from the faucet over the course of the year? I don't know. To me, it seems like if you had launched this console with Mario Kart and Donkey Kong, this might be a completely different conversation, because I'd be like, I haven't been able to put my Switch down in the past week because I keep playing Donkey Kong, and when I'm not playing Donkey Kong, I'm getting a few laps in Mario Kart World. Like, that could have been a take this launch from like, you know, a 6 or a 7 out of 10 to like a potential 9 out of 10.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I agree completely, man. And like, and then the new the Metroid game's coming out, and that looks incredible, and that's going to use the mouse controls, and it's just like, man, this could have been the greatest lineup of all time for a console launch, and instead it's meh. But I'm just excited to get my hands on the games.
And it's like, it's tough because if you look at past like more recent console launches, this isn't that crazy, right? Like the PS5 launched with a Demon's Souls remaster, like remake, and the Miles Morales Spider-Man game.
Yeah.
And that's it. And then a bunch of third-party games that, you know, had like PS5 patches. So kind of the same. A lot of people compare to the Nintendo 64 launch, which launched with Super Mario 64 and Pilot Wings, like, and then a bunch of games that came out like in the window.
But Mario 64 releasing with the Nintendo 64 was one of the greatest things that you could ever get under the Christmas tree in the history of the world.
Absolutely. And that's why I'm saying the Switch 2 just needed one other game.
One other game.
Because, like, while Mario Kart World is really good, and we're about to jump into talking a little bit more about that, I still want, like, a deep single-player experience on my new console along with it. And if you had a Donkey Kong, or, I mean, I'm not even saying that Donkey Kong Bonanza is the equivalent of Super Mario 64. Like, that's silly to say. But this console just needed one other game.
A little bit
That's
more,
it, just one.
Yeah, but at the end of the day,
not welcome to her.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it released with one game, Mario Kart World. Great game, we're going to talk about it. But it also had a lot of next-gen upgrades. It had full backwards compatibility. It was probably the easiest console ever to upgrade to from your original console via the Switch Sync feature. Probably the easiest time I've ever had doing that. And it's just, it was pretty seamless. You got to give them credit where credit's due. All in all, a great launch. As long as you didn't get a receipt stapled to your screen, you were pretty happy. Instead of getting a receipt stapled to my screen, I actually got a can of Pringles and a Coca-Cola, courtesy of Walmart.
I saw that Walmart was doing this,
Yeah.
and it definitely made me reconsider where I pre-order game consoles from in the future if this is the type of stuff they do. Because I thought that was
It was cool.
pretty slick.
It was cool. Yeah, I woke up. Jenny had been awake with the baby, and she saw that the Switch was here, so she went outside and got it, and she put it on the bed while I was in the shower getting ready for work. And so I was like, "Oh man!" And I was like, "Pringles and Coke, this is awesome!" And so it was just.
Meanwhile, you send me that picture. You've got the console early,
Yeah,
and I'm sitting there just like, because mine didn't come till probably like 2:30 in the afternoon.
I got mine at 7 o'clock in the morning.
That is impressive.
Yeah.
Props to Walmart delivery for doing it that way.
Absolutely.
Mine was a Best Buy release. It came in great condition, so no complaints. I got the console the day of release, as advertised, as promised. I can't complain about the difference of,
a few hours,
7 or 8 hours in delivery time, but it's fine.
Yeah, as long as you didn't get your screen stapled, you should be fine.
That too. I will say I really like on the Switch UI the way that they do the digital game cards. As somebody who is buying games digitally now, I don't know if you've really played with this, Jahan. So like on the bar at the bottom where it has like Switch Online, Game Chat, News, the eShop, there's one called Virtual Game Cards.
Yeah.
And if you select that, it shows all the games that you have purchased digitally tied to your account, but shows them as if they're like little cards that can go into your system. And it tells you which ones are installed, which ones are not. And it makes it easy to download the games that you purchased without having to go into the store. I thought that was a nice little touch.
It has fun little animations. It's pretty cool. So there's a plus and a minus to this. So on the Switch 1, I don't know if you know this, but there was a way where you could link two Switches together so that they could share a game library.
Right.
And me and Jenny had this. And so I would buy a game once, and we could both play it. We could even play it together online. But they have now switched it to these virtual cards, so only one of us can play it at a time, which is a huge bummer.
Oh, so like you're using the virtual game card on your Switch, but if you're using it, she can't use it on hers until you're not using it, then she would be able to use it?
That's my understanding. We haven't tried yet, but that's my understanding. And so that's the downside. The upside is you can now let anyone borrow these games, which is cool. So like they kind of broke our borderline seemingly illegal game sharing, but at the same time, they gave us the option to share with other people, so, I can't be too upset. I'll just have to get my own copy of, like, Animal Crossing if I want to pick that up again. But, yeah. And then, so it really does seem like a new console when you're in the store. In the store specifically, even when I'm on the Xbox store, man, like, those videos hardly ever load right. Like, it's janky, it's laggy, and it's like, come on, Xbox, get your shit together. On the Switch, when you go in the store, those videos play like that. Like, the Switch 2 changed the whole way it looks. It's way more seamless, and it seems like a brand new console when you're at the store. So I feel like that's worth saying. But, yeah, all in all, a good launch. And, man, I'm happy I have mine.
Yeah, I agree. One more thing. I know. There's like a constant stream of one more thing. While we're talking about this new console, good, just something that we've always kind of promoted on this show as like a really good value to Nintendo games. You're the one that introduced me to this. Is on the Nintendo Online portion of the Switch. Yeah. This is going back to the original Switch. You could do this voucher system. And Jahan, you introduced me to this a few years ago, and it is what I have used exclusively to buy all my Switch games since you told me this. Basically, you can go onto the Switch shop, you can buy this game vouchers. It is $99.98, and it gives you 2 vouchers that you can redeem for 2 Nintendo-published games on the Switch, and like first-party games. And it was awesome because you could use this on new release games, and so even like when Tears of the Kingdom came out, that game, I think that most Switch games were launching at $60, and I think Tears of the Kingdom was the first Switch game to launch at $70.
I believe you're
but
right.
like with the game voucher, you could use a voucher to get it. So essentially, I got that game for $50 and got another game that, you know, was presumably a $60 game. I would have gotten that for, you know, the equivalent of $30 with the voucher, you know, however you want to put it with the math. Basically, you're getting 2 games for $100. And when games cost $60 to $70 a piece,
It's a good deal.
you're saving money. It's a great deal. And so especially Nintendo games, right, which don't really go on sale digitally, hardly ever. Their games do not decrease in price the way the Xbox and PlayStation games do, where like if a new release on Xbox is $60 or $70, in a year you might be able to get it for 35 or for even 20 if there's a sale. Like that's normal on Xbox and PlayStation. That's not on Nintendo. When did Super Smash Brothers Ultimate, you know, whatever the most recent Smash Bros game come out? That game is still, you know, a $60 game.
Right, yeah.
Super Mario Odyssey is still a $60 game. That's just the way it is with Nintendo. That being said, I jumped into the Switch 2 and I was like, are the vouchers still here? And they are still there, but they do note on the voucher page that the vouchers are only that you can only use them on releases for the Nintendo Switch console, or I should clarify, games that are not exclusive to Nintendo Switch 2.
Yeah.
So, for example, I cannot use a voucher on Donkey Kong Bonanza.
Yeah.
Right? I could not use a voucher on Mario Kart World. I could use a voucher on a brand new game that just came out, like right before I don't know what the last Nintendo first party release was to come out before, you know, the Switch 2 came out, but like you can use it on stuff and you can do certain things. So like, for example, Pokemon Z to A or whatever it is, the new Arceus game that comes out in the fall, which they have announced that will come out for the Switch, and there's a Switch 2 edition of that game. The Switch version is $60. The Switch 2 version is $70. You can use a voucher to get that game on your Switch 2, but you will be getting the Switch 1 version.
Okay.
But then you can pay the $10 to upgrade
You can pay the
it
difference.
to Switch 2.
Yeah.
So you're still getting that game for essentially $10 cheaper than if you just bought the Switch 2 version. But it's like you have to go through a couple extra steps, and it's like, is it worth it to do that, or do you just buy the Switch 2 version?
That's fair.
You know, so that's just worth noting that there's some workarounds for the voucher program if it's a Switch 1 and 2 release, and maybe you can get the Switch 1 version and just pay the $10 to upgrade it. But if it is a Switch 2 release, you cannot use a voucher.
Long story short, use your vouchers.
Yeah, exactly.
Might want to get rid of them. Yeah.
Well, I know that's enough about the console. At the end of the day, it's a new Switch, but it is more powerful. It's nice that it's on. While it's not as powerful necessarily as an Xbox Series X or PS5, it's more on par with those. And considering the Switch was still holding its own currently against those, to have a new piece of Nintendo hardware that is more in line with the current generation of consoles is nice, and I'm really excited to see what they do with future game releases.
Same, dude.
That being said, the launch title that is a Nintendo Switch 2 exclusive is Mario Kart World, and you said you've played enough of it to beat all of the cups. I guess what are your initial impressions, or how are you feeling about Mario Kart World?
Initial impressions, it's definitely very different, but it's also very good. So there's a lot about it. A lot of the changes are subtle, but you'll notice things in animations that are really cool. But you also notice things just in like steering, in the way like the maps work, just like the water physics. Like there's a lot of stuff going on that make this a very different game. One of the biggest things is